Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Welcome back. So now we are moving into the more, I can say, very inspirational side of the show tonight, which is my journey to Islam. And with me, inshallah, tonight is brother talent Hajji Phiri, who was born and raised in Johannesburg, father of two, mashallah, Muslim revert for about 2 years now. He lives in Johannesburg. He is a graduate with a diploma in information technology and currently working as an Uber Bolt driver. And also, he does private airport shuttle services. So, inshallah, when we share the number at the end, do take him into consideration the next time you plan a trip outside and you want to lift to the airport, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother, and welcome to the show.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah for being with us tonight. It is always a pleasure having someone who's ready to share their journey on how they reverted to Islam. And I did also before allude that you have an interesting story that you're actually not the first Muslim in the family, but rather you are what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used you to rekindle the Iman in the family, subhanAllah. So, inshallah, before I can even go further and tell everything, tell us now, inshallah, about yourself and your journey to Islam, how it started, and subhanallah, take it away, man.
Well, yeah, as you've mentioned, I am a Muslim revert for about 2 years now, mashallah. However, I actually was born into a Muslim family. Unfortunately, I was not raised Muslim, so essentially there was no religious practice in my household as I grew up. So I wasn't necessarily a Christian, but I always knew my grandfather was a Muslim. And well, I guess, yeah, the inspiration sprouted from there, knowing that someone in my family was already part of Islam. And I just wished to more symbolize or be closer to what he was as I saw him when I was growing up. So, yeah, now as an adult, I figured it was the best time to make such a call and essentially revert to Islam and start my journey of the truth.
Subhanallah. So now, before now, in terms of your reversion, because that's why we like using the word revert to Islam. We don't use convert because converting means that you're moving from one different aspect to another. But Islam, we believe that everyone originally we are born in this. Natural disposition of being people of faith, believing in the one God, like in the local languages and tongues, when we refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we refer to him as Umdali, Umonzi, etc., or Ramasedi, etc., in Setswana, because these are terms that are Ramasedi, it's like the Arabic equivalent of An-Nur, the one possessor of light. And Umdali, the creator, Al-Khaliq in Arabic. So we always believe that we are always connected to the natural disposition of saying that there's only one God. Again, you mentioned that you didn't really grow up in a religious sphere, but something kicked in your mind, said that, hey man, I need to retrace my tracks. Now, I want to know now, what is the thing that actually sparked your interest in your mind specifically, and how did you nurture it so much so that it ended up taking you to taking your shahada?
I'll be honest with you, brother. I was living a life of, or what do we call these non-believers? Well, yeah, essentially a non-believer. I was being led astray. I was doing all the wrong things you could ever possibly think of. I was drinking. I was, engaging in all these unnecessary activity. And somehow, at the back of my mind, even though I was still engaging those activities, it never really resonated with me as something that I really wanted to do. It was more of like I'm fitting in with the people around me. So obviously, the friends I grew up with, the places I've worked, essentially those things contributed to the person I was. And I never really felt like this is me. I just felt it like, okay, I'm fitting in. And yes, I've done it quite nicely, but it doesn't really feel good. It didn't really feel like the truth. It didn't really feel like something I was going to do my entire life. It didn't really feel like something I'd teach to my children. It didn't really feel positive. So essentially, I had to then think at one point, I did have a point where I think Allah removed all these bad habits forcefully, right? It wasn't as easy as someone would assume it. So I did like go into a vehicle accident. I lost my car. I was drinking and driving when that happened. And I wrote off that vehicle. I broke up with my girlfriend at the time. And essentially, I just started losing everything. I even lost my job. So to me, that was one of the biggest signs that, okay, this loss of everything in a short space of time is not coincidental. It's it's a sign. It's essentially Allah calling you to the masjid. It's Allah calling you closer to Him. It's Allah telling you to recognize His mercy upon your life. And essentially, I had a friend at the time, my last employer, the last job that I was working. He was a Muslim, and somehow he also reminded me of, some of my family members to some extent, right?
Mm,
So when I looked at him, he also reminded me of my grandfather. He was fairly young. I think he was like about 10 years older than me. But, he was, at work, you end up being the same age with people who are older than you. You know what I mean?
mm,
So
mm,
as much as he was an older brother to me, but he was also a friend, he was close to me, didn't really judge me. As much as he could see me doing all these wrong things, he didn't really like make me feel bad about it. But essentially, when I spoke to him about certain things that were happening in my life, as I said, I was losing a lot of things in a short space of time. He then just gave me this book. I still have it with me here. My first Islamic book. I don't know if you can see this.
yeah, mashallah. The Talimul
He
Haq, mashallah.
Yeah, mashallah. He gifted me with this book, and I started reading into it before even taking my Shahada. And then it did take me some time. I remember also you're one of the people I was talking to while, trying to revert and, just trying to find my tracks once again. It did take me some time to actually fully commit to my Shahada.
Mm,
But after I did, I felt cleaner. I felt relieved. I felt calm,
mhm.
and to me it was like, okay, this is the truth I've been waiting for. This is my actual life. The other life was like, a parallel universe. I was
Mm.
there by mistake. I was teleported into that universe, and this book then brought me back to where I belong.
Subhanallah. It's very interesting, Subhanallah. Recently we were also we started a podcast on this topic of first generation. And one of the main topics that we speak about is growing up as a Muslim in a family who have roots of Islam, but not having to be able to practice Islam. Like myself, I grew up in a township whereby Islam was sort of a taboo. It was, a foreign concept. And now for you to come out there with the unique name, I remember he used to have a lot of fights at school. People couldn't pronounce my name until today. Right? I have friends for over 20 years can't pronounce the name. So these things come in, and at some point they push you into a corner, like you mentioned. You start doing things which are not supposed to be done by a Muslim. We don't know better at that time, obviously, because our families themselves are so disconnected from Islam, and we have to go through this dark hole alone and find Islam. I believe that the Islam that's found after a long stretch of fighting to get into the light is always relieving. Like you mentioned, that when you took the Shahada, you felt peace, you felt clean. That's because you came through that darkness and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought you to light. Subhanallah. So quickly, inshallah, we'll be taking a short break. Then when we return, inshallah, we'll be continuing listening to this beautiful and inspirational journey of brother talent Hajji Phiri, inshallah ta'ala. Stay tuned as we take a break.
Mashallah.
Yasin Badat Financial Advisory. Are your financial goals feeling out of reach? Yasin Badat Financial Advisory is here to turn your aspirations into achievements. Our dedicated team, armed with a history of success, is ready to guide you through the complex nature of financial and investment planning. Whether you're a seasoned investor or new to the game, our personalized solutions cater to your unique goals and risk appetite. Trust in our commitment to transparency, integrity, and excellence. Ready to unlock a world of financial freedom? Partner with us today. Call Yasin Badat Financial Advisory at +2733 346 2071 or visit www.yasinbadat.com. Yasin Badat Financial Advisory, guiding you to financial success.
The kitchen, the heart of the home, where memories are made and celebrated. Our go-to place for those freshly stacked pancakes early in the morning or for that late-night snack munchies. We are in there together, cooking, eating, and celebrating life together. Let's keep the kitchen a place that is shared by everyone, where we build stronger bonds and grow together. Sunfoil, now we cooking. Visit nowwecooking.co.za for recipes that everyone can help make.
One child, one dream.
A journey with Africa Muslims Agency that began 3 years ago has changed the lives of Syrian and Palestinian refugee children beyond their dreams. Help them to continue their education by sponsoring a student at the Amman School of Excellence in Lebanon for 25,200 Rand per year. Education at Amman can provide a brighter future for refugee families.
AMA, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Conveniently located along the banks of the Crocodile River bordering the Kruger National Park, as a guest at Buckler's Africa Lodge, one can enjoy an amazing sunrise or sunset on our spacious deck area while you catch a glimpse of some wildlife sightings along the Crocodile River. The sounds of the African savannah will greet you whilst you enjoy your morning coffee. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Buckler's Africa Lodge is ideally situated only 6 kilometers from the Crocodile Bridge Gate in the Kruger National Park. Catering for all travelers with variety, we have 4 types of the finest rooms: superior rooms, deluxe suites, and 2-bedroomed family units. Each room is equipped with the finest amenities to make your stay unforgettable. Guests can choose between the self-catering option or book their accommodation with breakfast and dinner included. Buckler's Africa Lodge is your ideal location for the ultimate Kruger getaway experience. We specialize in exhilarating and educational game drives in Kruger, tailor-made to suit your family. Inquire about our various accommodation offerings and other activities. Visit www.tingana.co.za for more information. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Experience the pulse of Africa with us.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Welcome back. So we're still discussing the journey to Islam with Brother Talent Hajji Phiri, as he was sharing with us that he actually didn't grow up in a non-Muslim family, if you can call it so, but rather a Muslim family, a Muslim home. However, due to many other circumstances that we face, there was no sense of deen, as we others can share the same sentiments like myself. And again, I believe that it is always a struggle trying to understand
Moulana.
or... Yes,
I don't know if it's my network.
can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you
cut
loud
that
and
bit.
clear.
It
How's the
broke
sound
that
now?
bit. No, it seems fine now.
All right, no. So I was just saying that it is quite interesting that in terms of the points that you raised earlier on, growing up in a Muslim family, however, unable to practice due to many other circumstances, that also at the same time, it pushes you to question your identity as a human being, especially a young African South African on top of it, black male who's raised in a Muslim family, but not having that sense of Islam connection. Now, also on topping off to that is the story regarding your own father, inshallah. If you can just share with us about your father, inshallah ta'ala. That's also another very interesting point.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever experienced since taking my shahada. So, well, obviously, I already had a Muslim name because my grandfather was Muslim. My father already had a Muslim name due to that too. However, he was not practicing, neither did I. And when I took my shahada, obviously, I was this person who basically lived their life separately from everyone, you know. So I didn't really like, how can I say this? Like tell everyone what was going on. I did it privately rather, right? So as much, because to me it was like a personal journey. So I was doing it more for me and try get myself in touch with everything prior to, you know, exposing it to everybody else. So as much as that was happening in the background, my father ended up noticing that, okay, this one is no longer the same guy. You know, he's coming home early now, he prays, he's no longer drinking, he's, you know, he's not engaging in all these things he used to do. And this one day, mashallah, he literally called me with my grandfather's name. I was taken aback, you know, it was a moment of euphoria for me. Like, wow, I now resemble my grandfather to some extent, right? So after that, he then came back to me about a week later. He was like, you know what, I actually had a dream about your grandfather. And I was like, okay, this is deep. So I didn't really say much. I just wanted to listen, you know, because I understand when someone is going through such changes within their own personal lifestyle, it's not about you saying something to them, it's more about listening, right? So I just listened. I didn't really say much. It was like, yes, I'm having dreams about your grandfather. And at some point, my dad was now a Christian, right? So he was attending this Christian church, and he said, "No, when I'm dreaming about your grandfather, he's telling me this is not where I'm supposed to be. I should come back home, and the only way I can do that is by joining you when you go to the masjid on Friday, right?" So I was like, "Mashallah." Obviously, me not being too fluent with my Arabic, I couldn't take him through the Shahada myself. So we just had to wait for that Friday for the Juma at the masjid. And yeah, we then went there. And it was a beautiful moment as well at the masjid. So obviously the Muslim brothers embraced us. I was a bit shy, you know, because I'm still a bit, you know, tiptoey around the whole thing. I'm not too familiar with the processes at some points, you know. So I didn't really know who was the imam as much as I was there, but you know, because we got there early, because I did mention to him that, you know, the masjid, the one we go to specifically, gets very, very packed in terms of the parking space, just being able to get your place on the mat there, you know, one that you are more comfortable with, it gets really packed. So we went there very early. It was a few brothers already there praying, doing their salats. And I just went to the front. I usually pray at the back, obviously being, you know, shy and all of that, you know. And that day we just went to the front and I started looking around. I saw one brother. I was like, let me try him. And then I told him the situation that I'm here with my father today and he'd like to take his Shahada. And the brother was so happy. You know, it was almost as if I'm part of his family. You know what I mean? And that also took away that anxiety that I was feeling on his behalf as well. You know what I mean? Because, you know, just engaging with other people is something I'm still afraid of, to totally be honest. As much as I do understand that Islam is an embracing religion and I shouldn't really be afraid, but you know, I have that thing that I don't really want to bother someone, you know, maybe they praying, maybe they busy with, you know, something. Let me just, you know, wait and stuff like that. And the brother just embraced us, mashallah. Where's your father? We walked to my father, I explained, okay, this is my father, and he'd like to take his shahada today. And then he then went around the masjid and looked for one of the imams who was available. Obviously, the other one was busy with the prayer, and I think I'm not too sure what we call the guys who do the adhan.
Oh, okay, Muadhin, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So I didn't really know who to approach for what we were trying to accomplish at that point. So that brother then assisted us. He took me to one of the imams, and then he also explained the situation that no, this young man is here with his father today. We've seen him around. So weirdly enough, they had seen me around, and they have noticed that okay, you are Revert, but they've also kept their space. Like just allow me to breathe, I guess. And yeah, we then went to the Imam. He then did the Shahada with my father. We went again. We did wudu one more time. And then he said, okay, when the Juma is finished for the final, we'll then announce to the entire masjid so that the brothers who are willing to remain and, embrace you afterwards can remain. And essentially that was it. And he did it. I was there behind him, just smiling. It was almost as if I'm looking at my own child, like that joy when you see your child walking for the first time.
Yeah.
That's the same joy I was feeling in my heart. I was like
Subhanallah.
feeling like a proud dad. And
Subhanallah.
yeah, from that day it's been steady for us. We go every Friday together. Obviously he doesn't really understand the religion as much as I do at this point, so I'm technically his guide, but I'm also still in my learning journey, so we basically learning together at this point.
Mashallah. No, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. You hear a lot of stories of family members being each other's means of entering deen, but it's amazing when it's your own son pulling you to the deen or the other way around, however it may be. And through this, we always remember a beautiful hadith where it says that if you are responsible for one person coming into the deen of Islam, then you get bountiful rewards, which was equivalent to, it was actually for a red camel, which is equivalent, equated to more than 300 or $3 million, whatever today, more than that. So it's an aspect of, again, being happy, being rejoiceful, and always looking forward to, inshallah, the positivities of it. And inshallah, lastly, if we can go into what you call it, the encouragement part of it. There's many people who are growing up in the same aspect that you grew up. I said before that many people can relate growing up in a Muslim family with a Muslim name, but not actually having any sense of Islam. Some because of reasons, maybe the mother was not Muslim, the father was Muslim, and it so happened maybe the parents were separated, or the father passed on, that they don't have any line or linkage to Islam anymore. How can you now encourage them to try and find themselves and find the truth, like you had that same question in your mind, inshallah?
At this point, the only thing I can say to encourage others to take the same step is to do the necessary research, do your due diligence. The information is out there. It's not that hard to find. Unfortunately, there is a lot of misinformation as well, right? So that might pose as a challenge for some of these guys out there. But if you really want to, it's always easier to approach someone who's already a Muslim. I think that's the easiest way. I think everyone knows someone who's Muslim. Even though you're not Muslim, there's someone you already know somewhere, somehow, that, okay, that one is a Muslim. So the best guide is to start there. Talk to those people who are close to the deen already, and just, even though you're not ready to take your Shahada, but, talk to them, ask certain questions, ask why this is done the way it's done. And, when they explain, their explanations are quite beautiful, because when you go through the misinformation, you get the wrong idea about everything, and then that's where all these ideas that we come across, or they come across, come about. But for me, it's about asking the relevant questions. Obviously, most of these questions will be based on what you are feeling in your personal life. So if maybe you are struggling with something, you approach a Muslim brother, tell them about that particular problem, and mashallah, they'll give you an Islamic solution to it. And it might even bring you closer to the deen. And then from that point on, you also have the due diligence to do the necessary research. You can always read the Quran. the Qurans are always being given out for free. That's a nice thing about the Quran, is that in most cases they're not being sold to anyone, especially if you're not a Muslim. You know what I mean? So it makes it easy for you to get that information, review it yourself, and then you can make a conscious decision, as opposed to, you know, just following the things you hear on social media.
100%, 100%. Couldn't have said it much better. So, inshallah, also display your number, inshallah, for those who need to contact you. May it be inspirational ways of Islam, or may it also be for your services as a shuttle to the airport, also, inshallah ta'ala. Again, really beautiful having you on the show. It was really inspirational and informative also at the same time, subhanallah. And we pray that Allah blesses you and keeps you inspiring other people, inshallah, to take further steps into learning Islam and also learning themselves, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. I really enjoyed having to speak to you. And until we meet again, inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam.
Alhamdulillah. Now that brings us to the end of our show tonight, subhanallah. A lot of points which were raised, and I think we can go home with one thing here, meaning that at the end of the day, the truth shall find you and it will set you free, inshallah ta'ala. As many times we know that we are clouded by ignorance, we are clouded by misinformation and perspectives which are not 100% correct. So we need to seek the truth, and the truth will find you, inshallah ta'ala. Until we meet again, remember it's a call to guidance every Thursday evening from 8 p.m. until 9 p.m. With your host Yunus Kawanga and our studio operator Sadiq, inshallah. And it's a beautiful Thursday evening, and that means that we read a lot of durood upon the greatest of mankind, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa barak wa sallim. Read Surah Kaf, inshallah. And lastly but not least, a lot of dua going out to the brothers and sisters in Palestine, in Yemen, in Syria, Myanmar, in Kashmir, in Congo, in Sudan, and the other parts of the world which are facing a lot of harsh treatment. The Uyghurs in East Turkmenistan, inshallah, as well, not to forget them. And don't be silent, let our voices raise. And inshallah, we'll be starting this weekend with the tour of brother Hamza Sha'alan, inshallah ta'ala. And inshallah, next week, Friday, will be his workshop for those social media influencers. I forgot to invite our brother Talent also, because he himself is a very quite interesting influencer coming up and self-made, or rather he said he's a wannabe comedian, but subhanallah, he does have good content. So inshallah, the invitation goes out wide, and please do check on the social medias of Salam Media for more information, inshallah, coming to the masjid near you, inshallah ta'ala. Again, it is Yunus Kawanga, call to guidance. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.